Thank you. Good evening. You know, the old Latin saying, art is long, life is short. Well, for some lucky performers, art is long and life is long. And the two seem to keep regenerating each other from year to year. And that is certainly the case with my guest tonight, the great Alberta Hunter. She came up in the 1920s with the likes of Bessie Smith and Louis Armstrong and Josephine Baker, and she is still going strong today at the age of 84. And in the intervening years, there were club dates and recordings in Broadway and London and Paris, and a really rich career. She has a million stories about all that, of course. There was a brief pause of 20 years or so during which she was retired from show business and was a nurse. But with the help of a jazz impresario named Barney Josephson, she came to her senses, and a couple of seasons ago, she made a triumphant comeback at Mr. Josephson's club in Greenwich Village called The Cookery. And a line in one of Alberta Hunter's songs seems to say it all. It's, there's plenty of good tunes left in an old violin. And there's a honey in there. There's plenty of good tunes, honey, left in an old violin. There, that sounds better. And anyway, to show you what she means, here she is singing a bit of her theme, My Castle's Rockin', accompanied by Gerald Cook at the piano, Aaron Bell on bass. Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to welcome back Miss Alberta Hunter.
Up some night, my Captain rockin'. You can blow your top, 'cause everything's free. On the top floor, the third door to the rear. That's where you'll always find me. Stuff is there, the chicks fairly romp with glee. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause I'm laying it on the line for protection. Tell them cats downtown to let their conscience be. Oh, come on up, bring your friends, and we'll start that ball a-rolling. My castle's rockin', run on by and see. Yeah! Said one. Thank you. Thank you. And now a song I wrote for Robert Altman's new picture, Remember My Name, starring Geraldine Chaplin and Tony Perkins. The title of the picture is Remember My Name, and the title of the song is The Love I Have for You. I never fret or worry, at no time am I blue. I spend my days rejoicing because of the love that I have for you. The love I have for you makes my burdens light. The love I have for you makes my blue days bright. Asleep or awake, dear, your face I see. The sunshine of your smile is a guide for me. The love I have for you is is within my heart. The love I have for you is a thing set apart. You can search and search again, from end to end, through and through. You'll never find a love like the love I have for you. The love I have for you is within my heart. The love I have for you is a thing set apart. You can search the universe, but my dear, if you do, you'll never find a love like the love I have for you.
I wanted to swing castle.
You wanted to do what?
I wanted to swing castle a couple more courses.
What does swing castle mean?
I wanted to swing it a little more.
Oh, I see.
2 more courses.
Oh, when they wouldn't let you because
No.
of, well, time
Too much
flies
time, yeah. This
by
television
so.
is a mess when it comes to time, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it a mess?
See, we were swinging pretty good and they cut us off, huh?
I think you can probably start up your swinging again, though, at some point before we're through.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we're going to get our money's worth out
I
of it.
want to lay it on them before I go.
Lay it on him.
Yeah.
Alberta, last time we were here, you talked about a legendary place that you played, I think it was in Chicago, called Dreamland.
Yes.
And research uncovers the fact that you made $17.50. Now, that's not a living wage even
Well, the
then.
first time was $10.
$10.
Then they raised me to $12.50.
But there was another way of making money, wasn't there?
Yeah, you know what I used to do? Yeah. I
With
used
the
to
way
make
you
the
winked
tips.
at me, I'm afraid to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah. No, the tips, they give us tips, you know.
Yeah.
And I had a little bargain with the waiters. And every time somebody give me a tip, I'd put it in my hand. When I'd start, go to the other table, I'd drop it down in my bosom and let it fall. And then another thing I used to do, if they wanted, the people wanted to hear what I was singing at the next table, see, I'd sing softly. And if the people at the next table would want to hear I was doing, they'd have to call me over and give me a tip. So each table I'd go to, I'd get a tip, you see.
I see, you'd sing softly, and then if you saw a bill waving... it
Didn't
meant
have to wave it. All they had to do
Just
was look
hold-
over, and I
just
figured
look.
they wanted me to come. And I'd go get
Well,
that tip.
Is it too personal to ask how much you could make on a night like that in those days, with on a good night?
Well, you want me to tell you the truth?
I mean,
Sometimes I made as high as $100. Those days,
that was a...
because
big-
you know what? Because in Chicago, the most of the people that hung out there in Chicago in the Dreamland were people of the gamblers
Yeah.
and the pimps and the prostitutes, and they all had a lot of money.
They had a flash
And they
roll
were,
with
and
them.
they were crazy about a song called Melancholy Baby. And I used to sing it. I knew the ones that liked Melancholy Baby the best.
You mean it really is true that people yell, sing Melancholy Baby?
Yes. Melancholy Baby, and I'd lay it on them. I'd sing Melancholy Baby for them, you know. And I could see the ones that were anxious, you know, wanted Melancholy Baby. When I was singing to you, for instance, I'd be looking out the corner of my eye to see who else wanted it.
Well, Alberta, what's the story about you and Sophie Tucker, the great white comedian, entertainer, for our younger viewers who may not know who Sophie Tucker was.
Yeah.
There's a story where she wanted "A good man is hard to find." She wanted to do it the way you did it.
Yes.
Can you tell what that means and what that was about?
Well, she used to come in the club where I was working. She was a great singer, though. Sophie Tucker
apparently.
was marvelous. She was marvelous. She came nearer singing like a colored woman than the rest of them. You know, I mean, she was fine. So she used to come in the club pretending she was just coming to see me, but she was coming to trying to steal my tricks, you know, to see what I was doing. So she, several times she asked me to come down to the Palace. She was playing at the Palace because she played the big time all the time.
Yeah.
And I never would go. So she sent her maid, Belle, that was her maid, to send me a note back, come on down and have lunch with her and everything. Well, I wasn't hungry at the time, so I didn't go.
You really didn't want her to have your song.
No, I didn't want her to
because that
have.
was your...
No, what's the use of me getting together writing a song for somebody else to do?
That's right.
No, so I wouldn't give her my song. And in later years, I learned why it was good that I didn't. You know, sure, because why should she learn my way? But she never would have sung it like I sing it, because we have certain little tricks we do in those songs that nobody's going to catch on. Because if I sing it one way now, I'll sing it another way the next time. That's what I did to her.
But so you foiled her finally.
Yeah,
Really.
sure.
If she was as good as you say, though, could she have been the first Jewish blues singer, do you think?
I don't know, but she was a whopping good one. Sophie Tucker could sing a song.
But you maintain rightly, I'm sure, that not everybody can sing the blues. You can't just decide to
Sophie Tucker, as good as she was, would never sing the blues like a Negro. And that's not boasting. You see, Sophie Tucker hasn't suffered like we've suffered.
Yeah.
And when we sing the blues, our heart is coming to you.
Yeah. And that makes the difference.
Yes.
You can't teach that.
Can't teach it.
Yeah. Alberta, tell me about this. You left your husband, but not for the usual reason. You seem to still be enjoying having left him. But it was not for what you think. It isn't that he was a bad man and treated you badly and so on.
No, none of them going to treat me bad, honey. I'm too strict for that. No, nobody's going to treat me bad.
I wouldn't see why anyone would want to, but...
Well, yes, they'll try.
They'll try.
All you got to do is have nerve enough to let them know they won't do it. That you will not let them do it. You will not permit them to do it.
Well, what I heard was that you left him for the unheard of reason of... so that he could find a better woman?
That's right.
That bears explaining.
Well, I'll tell you what. My husband was a very intelligent young man. And I could see the making of a very nice young man, and he needed a wife that would give him attention. It would be selfish of me. It would have been selfish of me to have stayed with him and not given him the nice things that he deserved. So you know what I did? While I was working at Dreamland, I'd be singing at night, and my mind would be working. I'd say, well, I'm going to get together tonight. So I'd be putting my tips in a little bag, and I'd go down the next morning and to the immigration place, and I was getting my passport ready. So one night when my husband thought I was going home, I was on my way down to the pier. So I went to Europe. He didn't know where I was.
He decided Europe would be the last place he'd look for you, I guess.
Last place he could get there right then.
You didn't leave a note or anything?
No, absolutely nothing. You know why? Because maybe had I left a note, he would have known where to have found me, and he would have come. And he's a nice young man. And he deserved a good wife.
This was not in the last few years. This was...
Oh, that was when I was young.
Well, you're still younger than springtime.
Well, thank you very much.
Say, there's an idea for a song.
Yeah.
But did you continue to be friends later? I mean,
Oh, yes.
You didn't never
friends. We were friends until he died about 4 years ago.
Oh, that's...
And you know what he did? He went to school, went to Canada. He got 2 or 3 degrees, and he was a young man that organized the porters, not the porters, but the
Pullman car.
the red caps.
Red caps, red caps.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it made a man of him. And I received a beautiful letter from him saying that he didn't want to infringe on my popularity, because at that time when I heard from him, he wrote and said that he didn't want to infringe on my popularity. But while perusing through the newspapers, he saw that I was such a big success in London. I was in Showboat then. And it was just a letter of appreciation and congratulations to the woman who had won. See? I made a man of him. Suppose I'd have let him hang around there, because the fellas around there, you see most of the pimps and all, they told him, why should you work when she's making a lot of money? I didn't want that
They
job.
were working on him that way.
Yeah, go train him, you know.
Yeah.
Never happened.
When you were in Europe, was that when you were with Paul Robeson?
Yeah. In Showboat.
Did he say Robeson or Robeson?
Robeson. He always said
two
Robeson.
syllables.
A lot of people say Robeson, but he said Robeson.
Yeah, I was reading something Dizzy Gillespie wrote about, as a young man, he went to a huge theater where Robeson was performing, in a play, I guess. And he said that even though Dizzy Gillespie was sitting so far back that Robeson appeared to be no bigger than a cigar from his seat.
Yes.
It was as if his voice were right beside him.
Bell. It rang just like a bell in the distance.
And there was no microphone.
No, we didn't have microphones.
Oh.
What do we know about a microphone? Even when I was entertaining the soldiers in World War II, I didn't have a microphone.
Even then?
Even then.
Tell about that. Were you in the front lines? You were telling me backstage about jumping into a trench.
Yeah,
so apparently
wasn't deep enough, and I got in another one. 52 days on the front line. I was the only woman. They let me go. They told me in the beginning, you say, you go at your own risk. If you go, no responsibility where we're concerned. So I wanted to go. I've always had plenty of nerve. So I went on with the 17 men that were in the group, you know. And they took us over to Inuitaka. It's just a little place, like if you have one foot in Japan and you put the other foot, you're in Russia. So they put me over on a Quonset hut in this little place in Inuitaka, you know. And while I was there, we can't think of the name of that runway, but anyhow.
Yeah, was anybody here in World War II could think the name of that stuff they rolled out?
So if the vehicles could roll over, you know?
For the Jeeps, the track they'd roll out.
Because the mud would be so deep, you know, the cars would sink. What is the word for that roadway? Anyhow.
Any veterans?
No, but anyhow. So, what was I telling you about the...
Well, you tell me about, you said you had jumped in a trench.
Yes.
And you were the only woman among all these men.
Yes, the men were gone. They were flying, and I'm flying right along with them. But when I got in the trench, it wasn't deep enough. So what's the use of being in the trench if it isn't deep enough? So I got out of that one and got in another one.
Would that be a good song, This Trench Ain't Deep Enough?
Yeah, I'll make one.
There are, you know, Albert, I always have the feeling that there are certain words in a lot of blues songs and Dixieland songs and things that have double meanings that still today a lot of white folks don't really know what the words mean. Because I hear laughter from the black people in the audience.
Sure.
But
You should have been at the club last night.
What happened?
There was a fellow there, he knew everything I was saying, didn't he, Gerald? Yeah, we were saying a little double entendre, you know.
What would be an example of one?
Well, you say, plenty good tunes left in an old violin.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
That refers to...
Yeah, man's kind of old and very thin, but there are plenty good tunes left in an old violin.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Get that?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I think I'm halfway there.
Then let me see, what's another one? You can go, what's the one in Rough and Ready, Gerald? Oh.
Rough and Ready.
Oh, he can be knock-kneed, box ankle, and even have frog eyes. But that will make a bit of difference if he's okay otherwise.
Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That's very refined.
You know, I sang that at the Collegiate Church Sunday.
You did?
Yes, I did. At the Collegiate Church.
You sang it at the church?
I certainly did. It was packed.
Yeah.
Church was... Sunday, past Monday.
Yeah.
I sang all that. Sang Good Man's Hard to Find, and whop him over the head with a few bricks.
Where does that song come from?
Good Man's Hard to Find.
I have an old record of someone most people don't know, Lizzie Miles.
Yeah, New Orleans.
Who was Lizzie Miles?
Lizzie Miles was a great big Creole woman. She was from New Orleans. She was from New Orleans.
Creole woman.
She came and worked at Dreamland with me for a few months.
I've never found out
But you know who wrote that song?
Mm.
I think Maceo Pinkard wrote that song.
Don't know.
I think so.
Well, that explains something about Lizzie Miles.
But he didn't put those, I put my punches in myself. His punches were too tame. They didn't say anything.
I've never heard you sing that song. One
Yeah.
day you must do it for
I'll
me.
sing it for you.
Yeah, because that's a great one.
Yeah, I'll put some
Listen-
punches in it.
Okay. And will you signal when the punches are so I'll know? I don't want to miss them.
Yeah.
I don't want to see.
Okay. What about Rough and Ready sometime?
Rough and Ready. Okay. Is
Yeah.
that
Oh, that's
Rough
a
and
killer.
Ready?
I got some real stuff in there. And another one, Old Fashioned Blues. Oh, I've got some lines in the Old Fashioned Blues are a mess.
A mess is a term of
It means it's a knockout. You
A
know?
knockout, yeah, you
Everybody
use
knows
it-
what a knockout is.
yeah. What does the expression "tack Annie" mean? I know.
Tack
I did
Annie was
show,
a woman.
Well, I did a show with the Copacetics, a black tap dancing group, and they I'm a member of that now,
Yeah.
by the way. And there's a step called "tack Annie," but who is "tack Annie"?
Tack Annie, you see, when I worked at Hugh Hoskins in Chicago, this was a little place where all the Dago Franks was where all the white pimps and the white prostitutes hung out.
Dago Franks.
Dago Frank. Like you see D-A-G or Dago, like they used to, in old times they called an Italian Dago, which is, you know, an expression like they call us different things. Well, anyhow, you know. So anyhow, Dago Franks was where the white pimps and the white prostitutes hung.
Yeah.
Hugh Hoskins was a place where the colored confidence men and their women were pickpockets. Now that's where Tack Annie was. She was a pickpocket.
She was.
And the greatest that ever lived. She could walk up to a man, and if he had a diamond stud in his pocket and in his tie or anything, she'd go, "Holler," and bite it off. She had a little something. You don't know what used to go on. You youngsters don't know nothing.
Don't. I want to know more about it. However, also, we want to hear you sing Downhearted Blues.
All right.
Could I escort you to the microphone?
You certainly can, because I'm kind of old. I need help.
Not much. Okay. Okay, Alberta.
Okay, thank you. This is a song I wrote in 1923. I recorded it for Paramount, and many records were sold. Then came the world's greatest blues singer, Bessie Smith. She recorded it for Columbia, and it sold 850,000 within 3 months. And I'm still collecting royalties. Ha. Gee, but it's hard to love someone when that someone don't love you. It's a mess. I'm so disgusted, heartbroken too. I've got the downhearted blues. Once I was crazy about a man. He mistreated me all the time. The next man I get has got to promise to be mine, all mine. 'Cause he mistreated me, Lord. He drove me from his door. Oh, no. Yes, he mistreated me. Ooh, he drove me from his door. The good book says, brother, you're gonna reap just what you sow. Lord, I walked the floor. I wrung my hands and I cried. Yes, I walked the floor. Wrung my hands and I cried. I had the
in my life. No, I ain't never loved but 3 men in my life. 'Twas my father, my brother, and the man that wrecked my life. Oh, man. Now I got the world in a jug. Play it. Stop her right here in my hand. Yeah, yeah, I got the world in a jug. Stop her right here in my hand. Oh, and the next man that gets me has got to come under my command. Thank you.
Are you? Doesn't show.
No?
No.
Oh,
It was wonderful.
oh, you are wonderful.
Oh, yeah?
You are wonderful.
Just great. Well, when you sing One Doesn't Miss a Word, that's great. I love
Thank
that.
you.
And it's moving, and you've just got everything. You've got a wonderful career ahead of you.
Well, thank God. Thank you very much.
Alberta Hunter, I'm certainly glad you came back to the business, and you will be here, I think, tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, and maybe Good Man is Hard to Find or something like that.
Yeah,
We
you
could
want
be
that?
Oh, I think I may have to ask you to do it. Thank you, Alberta. We'll see you tomorrow night. Join us then. Again, Alberta Hunter.
I love working with you.
You know a song that Liz Miles sang called Salty Dog? Good evening and welcome to the second of a two-part show with the legendary, wonderful, great Alberta Hunter, a youthful singer whose career began a couple of years ago. Miss Hunter is youthful even though she's 84, and her career did begin a couple of years ago in the sense that it began again after having flourished for better part of a half-century in clubs and recordings and theater and you name it. From the time she started out singing with King Oliver, she has always worked in the company of greats, which is appropriate because, as we were all reminded on last night's show, she is certainly one of the greats herself. Will you welcome, again, please, Alberta Hunter, and singing A Good Man is Hard to Find.
A good man is hard to find. You always get the other kind. And when you think he's your regular pal, you look for him and find him messing around some other gal. Then you rave. Yes, you rave. You'll want to see him dead, want to kill him, and in his grave. Now, if your man is nice, take my advice. Hug him in the morning, kiss him late at night, and give him lots of loving. And be sure to treat him right. because a good man nowadays is hard to find. I say a good man, have mercy, so hard to find. You always get the other kind, get real buzzards, and you think he's your all in all. You look for him and find him in another mule stall in your rave. Yes, you crave. You'll want to see him dead and in his grave. But if he won't be nice, take my advice. Hug him in the morning, kiss him late at night, and bop him over the head with a brick a few times, and I'll bet he'll treat you right. And then from then on, that man of yours won't be so hard to find. Yeah.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Alberta, let's step back down to the office area here.
Okay.
That was simply splendid and did my heart good. It's a favorite old song.
Yes, oh, baby.
Anybody know how far back A Good Man Is Hard to Find goes?
No. Nobody in here is old enough to know.
Is it as true then as was it as true then as it is today about finding a good man?
I guess it'll continue to be true. Men won't behave. They won't behave. You got to bop them.
You know, what I noticed is that you don't have a drummer.
No.
That's unusual, isn't it?
I don't need a drummer with this crazy man back here.
Hmm? The bass, why does everybody have a drummer? I never thought of it.
You know, I tell you one thing, reason, all due respect to drummers, but I don't want a drummer because I'm liable, I don't know what I'm going to say next. And the drummer's liable to be playing and patting away and, you know, and he'll come in on some of my punches or my tricks, you know.
Well, which crazy man did you mean?
This bass player, he's crazy.
Oh, he is?
Yeah. My piano player, he's a knockout.
When you sang Downhearted Blues last night, or whenever it was,
yeah.
It was, that was a song that was made a hit by Bessie Smith, and you talked about how she,
yeah.
Isn't that the one that she, so how many records?
That was her first recording for Columbia.
Now why, if it's your song, didn't you do?
I did it. I sang it for Paramount, you know, and many records were sold, but nothing like Bessie's.
Yeah.
Bessie's record sold 850,000 within 3 months.
Is there any way to put into words what it was about Bessie Smith, what she had?
She had a bigger voice and a better voice than any woman that I know. You could hear Bessie Smith from here to 135th Street. No such thing as a microphone. We didn't have, you know, we used to sing to and make a record, sing a big old thick wax about like that.
Yeah.
And the needle would go around on the wax. See, there was a hole, and that would be, the engineer would be on that side. There's this hole, you see. And you'd sing through a big horn here. Well, then that wax, the needle would go around on this wax, and the shavings from this wax, you know, would go on the floor. But we didn't have microphones, just that big horn.
That was the old recording method. Do you still have old records of that kind?
Yes, I've got I've got the first record I made.
Do you?
Yeah, I made it for a company, Handy, or Pace and Handy. You know W.C. Handy?
W.C. Handy,
Well,
sure.
they had a little record company called the Black Swan. And I was supposed to go to New York, you know, and record for Paramount. So I sneaked and did a record for, I've been sneaking all the time. I sneaked and did a record for the Black Swan.
Yeah.
That was the first record I made. That was W.C. Handy and Harry Pace, who was a real estate man.
Do you still have kin down in Memphis?
No. You see, when I left home, there's nobody there but my mother. When I ran away from home, I left my mother down there. But as soon as I made, you know at 1750 I was making?
Yeah.
As soon as I saved up enough, I brought my mother to Chicago. And you know she turned around over my poor little hard money and went right back to Memphis. She didn't like Chicago.
Too big for her? Didn't?
She didn't like it. She just didn't like Chicago.
She'd always lived in a small town, I suppose.
Well, Memphis is very progressive, you know. Memphis is all right.
Oh, you were right in Memphis. You weren't out on a little outside.
Oh no,
Memphis.
we lived right in Memphis
town.
proper, right on Beale Street.
Uh-huh.
Well, we lived 170 Beale Street, right across from the old Beale Street Church. That's where we lived in later years. But the first time I was born on High Street in Memphis, up in North Memphis.
When you were talking about Sophie Tucker wanting really to appropriate a number of yours, and you were reluctant to give it to her, was there a lot of just plain stealing from white acts, stealing black acts material and figuring there's nothing they can do about it?
Well, I hope you don't think I'm rude.
No.
But all the stealing was done. They used to steal our lives.
Really?
They stole everything we could write. Stormy Weather was written by a colored man. So many songs were written by colored people, but we had no out. We didn't know what to do to go about to protect our material at that time, you see.
Stormy Weather was
yes,
a
it was
theft.
written by a fellow named Lukey Johnson.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So many of our songs. And then a lot of times, you see, we had hard times, and if a fellow would write a song, it was a good song, he'd play it over and the publishers would hear it. Well, they didn't ask him any questions, they'd just take it. Or maybe they'd give him $5 or $10, they didn't know, they were broke, they needed the money. A lot of the very good songs were written by colored people.
What changed all that?
Well, the copyright came out.
Yeah.
You see, copyright. You could you have your song. That's the reason I don't hum my material till it's in Washington. You'd be surprised at the song thieves. They'll mug you for a song in a minute. I don't even hum my material to anybody till I don't know music. I don't know one note from the other. So, but I get one note, I hear one note to myself, then I hum another one, and I get 2 or 3, and they sound pretty good. So then I'll hum them to Gerald, and he puts them down in music, and, on paper, and send them to Washington.
So if I showed you A Good Man Is Hard to Find written out, all you could tell looking at it is where it goes up and down, but you wouldn't...
I wouldn't know where it went up and down.
Oh, you wouldn't know if I had it upside down or something?
Oh, well, yeah, if you had the paper upside down, but I don't know the notes.
Yeah.
I don't know one note from the other.
It certainly hasn't held you back.
No, well,
Just think
God.
where you could go.
Yeah. But you know one thing? Maybe if I knew music, I couldn't do what I'm doing.
It might inhibit you a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You'd suddenly think, did I get all 4 of
That's
those
right.
in? And
Did
was that a quarter
did
note
I
or
get A right, a G right, a B right?
Uh-huh.
No, if you don't know it, it's better.
Did you...
You know?
Alberta, did you know Bessie Smith personally?
I didn't know her, no. The only time I ever saw Bessie Smith was in Philadelphia, a little old theater called the Standard Theater. Yeah. And she was coming out of the theater. She was either coming out or going in, and vice versa. And that's the only time I saw her in the theater, you know. But I never said good morning or good evening to her, because she was kind of rough, you know. She'd try you one.
She'd try you one?
Yeah.
Tell me what that means. I knew, but I forgot.
She was kind of mean.
Oh, mean?
Yeah, she was mean.
Yeah.
She didn't want you to look halfway decent, you know.
No kidding.
No. But she could sing. I'm not trying to take anything from her.
Yeah.
She could sing a while.
Were you friendly with Louis Armstrong?
Sure. You know, I was working at a nightclub called the Dreamland in Chicago. And this man, Bill Bottoms, who later became Joe Lewis's dietitian, he heard about a young man in New Orleans that could play trumpet. So he either went south and got Louis, or he sent someone down there and got Louis and brought Louis up. Louis came in to play second trumpet to Joe Oliver. I was singing at the Dreamland. Joe Oliver's band was there, King Oliver, they call him. You children know, you're too young. And they brought Louis up to work with Joe Oliver.
You know, I read something that Dizzy Gillespie said. He has a book out, and he said that Louis Armstrong was born in poverty, raised in drudgery and ignorance, and luckily for us, he was a genius.
He was a genius.
Yeah.
He was born, you know, and put in one of those homes, you know. He was an orphan. He put in one of those homes. But he was a fine, till he breathed his last breath, he was a little gentleman. He was a fine young man. Do you know the girl that he married, Lil Armstrong? Her name wasn't Armstrong. Her name was Lil Harding.
Lil Harding.
Lil Harding. The girl played piano in Joe Oliver's band. Well, she later married Louis, you know. Yeah. Lil Hardy.
I was at his funeral. It was one of the most moving things.
You know one thing? Do you know? Did you see when she collapsed at the piano? That was his first wife.
No, I didn't.
Lil Armstrong. When she was there, she went to his funeral, and she collapsed and died right there. You didn't see that, lady?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That happened at Louis Armstrong's funeral?
Yeah.
Well, I was probably looking somewhere. I was sitting next to Dizzy Gillespie.
Right at his funeral.
And I guess people did not realize it at the time.
Didn't realize, because they naturally cut it off right quick.
Yeah.
But she died right there at his funeral.
Oh.
Did you ever hear Freddie Keppard?
No.
He was one of the greatest trumpet players ever lived. He had a way of playing. He would put the derby like over his bell of his horn, and he'd play it softly, because he said people would try to steal his way he played. So he wouldn't play loud, like I was singing when I was swiping that money, you know.
Yeah.
But he would play very soft, but he didn't get the credit that he deserved. He was a marvelous trumpet player.
Are there a lot of cases of that, of people you came up with and knew and worked with who really deserved a great career and never got it?
Absolutely, but they didn't get it. You know one thing? Sometimes people say it's you have talent, but a lot of time it's luck.
Sure.
A lot of people deserve what they don't get. And they don't know how to reach out for it. You have to get out. I'm telling you, children, anytime you have an aim in life, set your goal and go for it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't make it. You can make it. Go on.
Don't go now.
Anytime you have something in your mind, don't let anybody change your mind and tell you, oh, you can't do this. A lot of people tell you that out of jealousy. So you use your own judgment. If you say, well, I'm going to do so-and-so, do it. I ran away with 15 cents, a nickel and a dime. What did I have? Got off the streetcar and left my school. My school teacher had this pass, you know. I got off the streetcar and left on the streetcar. Where was I going? God's hand, honey. Put your faith in God and confidence in yourself.
I gather you're what?
That's right.
Those are your principles, guiding principles.
Yeah.
Alberta, I read that you used to go to church a lot, but that you've gotten a little tired of that.
Well, I love church, but I stopped going because when I was a little tiny kid, my grandmother took me early in the morning and kept me there late at night till the church closed. I'd have to go at the opening and the closing. And I said when I got grown, I would not go to church until I got good and ready. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe in God. I believe in doing unto others as I wish to be done by. And if I'm ever able to do a favor for someone, I'm glad to do it. But I cannot sit up in church all day like my grandmother had me doing.
You probably got enough there to last you for a long time.
Oh, it'll last me till I die.
Probably haven't used it all up yet.
That church my grandmother gave me, I was reared in church till the last minute. And until they put that sand and dirt in my face, I will not sit in church all day, ladies and gentlemen.
That's quite all right. Don't you suppose the music in church influenced you a lot, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Where was it you played where, was it in Korea when you were with the USO?
Yeah.
And at the end of your song, you could hear applause coming from up in the hills?
Up in North Korea. Yeah.
Now, that's some voice.
Yeah. Instead of the North Koreans up there, you know, to run us away, because we in part of South Korea, too, you know. They were up there just having a ball, just applauding and going on. They didn't bother us.
You could hear the enemy grooving up in
Yes. Yeah, they had a ball.
What a strange experience that is.
Wonderful experience. I was the only woman with 52 days on the front line.
You sang for General Eisenhower at one point. You know.
Well, I was in Nancy, France, and had my troop there.
Yeah.
And he had told us, had this special serviceman to have us meet him in Frankfurt. And we went to Frankfurt to his headquarters. And it was a Russian woman, you know, she's trying to be so big, you know. She didn't want to, everybody else was doing this and she was, but under the table, she didn't know we could see under the table. She's just patting her foot.
Her foot was going?
Yeah.
She was controlled from the ankle up.
Yeah, yeah. She didn't want anybody to know she was, you know, enjoying what another woman could do, you know. Boy, she was just...
She was a Russian official?
Yeah, I think she was one of the Russian officials.
If you had only 5, maybe let's say 3 records that you could save out of a fire or to take to a desert island with you, are there records or albums that you listen to over and over, favorites of yours, of other artists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. Now, I'd listen to Paul Robeson.
Yeah. You worked with him.
Yeah, I'd listen to Paul. Yeah. And Tony, what's his name? What's Tony's name, Gerald?
Tony Bennett?
Tony Bennett. Yes, I would listen to his records.
Be glad to hear that.
Oh, I'm crazy about Tony. When we went to the White House, you know, at the Kennedy Center, he was at the Kennedy Center. Yeah, and I like his music.
Sinatra called Bennett the best singer.
Oh, Tony Bennett's a knockout.
Do you mind if I take you to the microphone? You sing as well as you talk, and you talk as well as you sing, and I don't know which I want to hear more. But they're waving a sign at me, Alberta.
Okay. Now, this is a song I learned when I was in Jerusalem. Yeah, I'm going to sing it in Yiddish. Yiddish. Ich hab dich so viel lieb, ich trug auf dir keine Hass. Ich hab dich so viel lieb, so sein auf dir in Kass. Ich hab dich so viel lieb, so sein auf dir Grobes. Ah, na, ich weiß, ich hab dich lieb. Hab dir mein Leben weggegeben, mein Herz und meine Schuhe. Ich bin krank, mein Gedanken tragen nicht zu. Na Kummer, ich hab dich so viel lieb. Ich trug auf dir Grobes. Ah, na, ich weiß, ich hab dich lieb. I love you much too much. I've known it from the start. But dear, my love is such, I can't control my heart. I love you much too much, and I've asked myself what for. But darling, when we touch, I love you more. Hab dir mein Leben weggegeben, mein Herz und meine Schuhe. Ich bin krank, mein Gedanken tragen nicht viel. Na Kummer, ich hab dich so viel lieb. Ich trug auf dir Grobes. Ah, na, ich weiß, ich hab dich lieb. Thank you. No gal maid's got a shade on sweet Georgia Brown, clear to left feet, oh, so neat.
Brown, play. They all sighed, won't die. Oh, sweet Georgia Brown, I'll tell you why. Oh, you know I don't lie. Oh, me not much now. It's been said she knocks 'em dead when she lands in town. Since she came to crying shame, the way she cools it down. Now, fellows, that chick can't get her fellows. She ain't met Georgia, named her. Georgia claimed her. Sweet lady, come on, folks. I said no gal made got a shame on sweet Georgia Brown. Oh, two left feet, oh so deep. Sweet Georgia Brown, out there on side, wanna die. Ha, ha. Tell you why. Ha. You know I don't lie. Oh, me not much now. It's been said she knocks 'em dead when she lands in town. Since she came, it's crying shame. Way she cools it down. Now, fellows, that chick can't get her fellows. She ain't met oh, John. One more. What's her name? Her. Play. I said, no gal may got a shade. Oh, sweet Georgia Brown. To the left feet, oh, so neat. Sweet Georgia Brown. Now the old side, wanna die. Oh, sweet Georgia Brown. I'll tell you just why. You know I don't lie. Oh, me not much now. It's been said she knocks 'em dead when she lands in town. Since she came to crying shame, the way she cools it down. Now, fellows, that chick can't get her fellows that ain't been born yet. Georgia named her, Georgia claims her, sweet Georgia Brown. By and by, when that morning comes, all the saints of God are gathered home. We're gonna tell that story, how we overcome, 'cause we understand it better by and by. Trials dark on every hand, and we cannot understand all the way that God would lead us to that blessed promised land. But he guards us with his eye. We're gonna follow till we die, 'cause we'll understand it better by and by. I said it's by and by, when that morning comes, all the saints of God gathered home. We're gonna tell that story, how we overcome. 'Cause we, come on everybody, let's go. Yeah. I said bye, when that morning comes. All the saints of God gathered home. We're gonna tell that story, how we overcome. 'Cause we understand it better by and by. I says bye, when that morning comes. All the saints of God together, we're gonna tell that story, how we overcome. 'Cause we'll understand it better. We're gonna understand it better. We will understand it better by and by. Yeah. I love you, man.
Just wonderful. Gerald Cook on piano, Aaron Bell on bass. There's anybody like you,
Oh,
Alberta
thank you.
Hunter, and I'm deeply in love.
Well, thank you so much. Your wife's going to shoot you.
Let me ask you one question. Have you got rhythm?
Yeah, I'll lay it on you.
Okay, Alberta Hunter.
I've got rhythm, I've got music, I got my man. Tell me, could I spend anything more? I've got daisies in green pastures, I got my man. Tell me, could I spend anything more? Hope man, trouble fled, I don't mind him. You can't find him. Hope hanging all around my door. I've got daisies in green pastures, I got my man. Look at us, come on, let's go. I said, I've got rhythm, hope, I've got music, I've got my man. Look at us, anything more. I've got daisies in green pastures.
Funding for the Dick Cavett Show has been provided by this station and other public television stations, and by a grant from the Chubb Group of insurance companies.